Blog Talk Radio.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
The calling hours.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Once again, thank you for listening in. This is the Calling Hours on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Dead Man, Michael Jones, coming at you with all the relevant independent horror that we can find and talk about. Tonight's going to be a pretty interesting show, I think. We're going to have some people on that we've had before and a few new people. We are going to be having on the folks from Concept Media Films again. This time, the great Mr. Shawn Burkett will be joining us, as well as two actresses and the actor. And don't want to jinx anything. I know time's an issue for some of them, but Ayse Howard, Deziree Angel, and Scott Gillespie will be joining us as well from them. We will also be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Visiting Hours. And we're going to do something a little special tonight for our first review. It will not actually be a DVD or Blu-ray review. The good folks and Camellia over at Phase 4 Films was nice enough to send me a VOD of Patrick Evil Awakens. So that is going to be our first review for the evening coming up here in a moment. And we will also have our Metal Blade Spotlight. And once again, we're going to do like last week, and we're going to I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I was reading something. We're going to highlight several bands in the Metal Blade Spotlight like we did last week, so that we can kind of get more of a blend of what Metal Blade is sending us. The feature spotlight is something we will always do, so we will have all the info on that. So coming up at 8:30, we will have Shawn Burkett, Ayse Howard, Desiree Angel, and Scott Gillespie from Concept Media on to discuss Don't Fuck in the Woods, which is the film they're getting ready to make this summer, and we will also be covering other films in their careers. But I think it's time. We might as well kick it off. Once again, we want to say thank you to our friend Camille over at Phase 4 Films for sending us a copy of Patrick, Evil Awakens.
Digital dismemberment.
A lot of you guys know how I am, and a lot of you guys are the same way. When it comes to remakes, they can be very hit or miss for us, but Patrick Awakens is the story of when a young nurse begins work at an isolated psychiatric ward, she quickly becomes fascinated with Patrick, a brain-dead patient who is the subject of a mad scientist's cruel and unusual experiments. What starts as an innocent fascination quickly takes a sinister turn as Patrick begins to use his psychic powers to manipulate her every move. and sent her life into a terrifying spiral out of control. The film is directed by Mark Hartley, and of course the film is a remake of Patrick, which was directed by Richard Franklin back in 1978, Australian filmmaking. And the original Patrick actually has quite a huge cult following. If you've never seen the original film, I do, before telling you to see this one. I think Patrick Evil Awakens was an absolutely amazing film. Like I said before, remakes are not something that I typically tend to enjoy. I'm a fan of the older films and the style in which they were made. Patrick Evil Awakens lends itself more to the remake. I don't want to use the word craze, because when you watch the film, you can obviously tell it's a labor of love, and that a lot of time and consideration was put into it. There, again, it's an Australian film. The producer who produced the original is a producer on this as well, and I'm trying to find his name while we're talking about that. But, the film definitely has an interesting cast. Some of the things, like I said, the cast is amazing. And, the direction is something to really behold as well. One of the things that struck me a lot while I was watching the film was the particular use of the camera and the angles that they used. But not only that, but when you look at the set design and how the sets were shot, you got the feeling that you were almost watching a Dario Argento film, and that is certainly meant as a positive credit. I kind of felt like we were, some of the designs in the house and the way the cameras were set up, reminded me a lot of that opening sequence from Suspiria with the tiled floor down at the bottom before the young lady comes crashing through the skylight, hanging herself and impaling her friends with pieces of glass. The overall exterior of the hospital, where the nurse, played by Shawn Vincent, you may remember her from You're Next. She's the nurse that Patrick has his eye on, and basically what's going on is that the film takes place at the Roget Clinic, and it's a private clinic for people that have traumatic brain injuries. Dr. Sebastian Roget, who's played by Charles Dance, is a renowned man in his field, but his methods are certainly above or below board, depending on how you want to put that. And he goes to extreme lengths to try and get results to get more money from his wealthy investors and the board. Patrick Thomas is, of course, the young man who's in the vegetative state. He's played by Jackson Gallagher. And as far as the nurse has been told, he witnessed a terrible accident and was part of a terrible accident, and he's been in a vegetative state ever since. As it turns out that the head nurse, the matron, is actually Dr. Roget's daughter, and she's been working with her father since her mother died. And there's a friend there. She has a nurse friend, Nurse Williams, played by Peter Sargent, and there's some activity between them, showing social life outside of the hospital and the things they do for fun, and eventually she becomes a victim of Patrick's powers. But what's happening is that Patrick has been able to use the work that Dr. Roget has been trying to do with electricity, which is to get the neurons in the brain to work again, to try and wake these people up. Patrick has been able to manifest that into telekinetic powers and almost being able to move through electrical components or control them. One of the death scenes in particular that's quite gripping is when a friend of the nurse, who also is a psychiatrist and does a radio show, is trapped in his car. Patrick makes the seatbelt stay in place and takes control of his car and drives him over the edge of a cliff into the ocean, and it's amazing. And the head nurse, when she's when she tries to end it all, when she figures out what Patrick is and goes to shut the power off, Patrick kills her by telekinetically throwing scalpels in her, and as she keeps going, she winds up being electrocuted. And that's one of the other aspects, is there's plenty of gore in this film as opposed to the original. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. It's just that, it's impressive when you're watching remakes. You don't certainly expect a lot of the times, to have the high quality or get that sense of shock. Well, they definitely pushed the envelope with this. The electrocution scene of Dr. Roget, where he electrocutes himself, is an absolutely stunning sight to behold as well. Again, I don't want to give away the whole movie, but it's, the film stays pretty faithful to the original. One of the things that I like is, in the original, Patrick types out his thoughts on a typewriter that's on the desk, and, the nurse reads that, and that's how they find out everything that's going on. And in this one, he has the ability to tap into the computer and do text messaging on phones, which is, again, kind of interesting. And his unhealthy obsession with Sharni Vincent's character is pretty creepy. The film made its debut at the 2013. Let me see if I'm getting this right here. I want to make sure I got it. It's won a couple of awards. Let me pull up their website so that we can get more information on this. But the film's done well. It's just released the other day here in the United States. So it's also available for video on demand. Now, it said that there was the possibility of theatrical. Now, where I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, I have not seen anything in particular about it playing anywhere. So if anyone listening knows if this is playing theatrically anywhere, I would like to know. Because, if it's anywhere near me, I would like to go see it. It was an official selection of the Melbourne International Film Festival in 2013. It was also an official selection of Fantastic Fest in 2013, as well as an official selection to the Stygius Film Festival in 2013. So, the film's got a pretty positive review on IMDb, for those of you that feel IMDb is the end-all, be-all of rating movies. Overall, it's very good as a remake. Again, surprised that we got more gore, which, to me, I think helps sell the film. I think the story sets up excellent. All of the acting is fantastic. And like I said, I can't say enough about the locations that are involved. The Creepio location, it looks almost exactly, it looks almost exactly like the one in the original film. So, I would definitely have to give this 2 thumbs up. I'm dying to see what it looks like on DVD. I would love to see what the special features are. If they decide to put this on Blu-ray, I think that would be even better, because I was impressed watching it on the computer. I would have loved to have seen it on my high-def TV. Musically, I thought the score was actually quite impressive, and it helped to bring out the elements and the layers, in the film that, not so much that you had the jump scares, but the music had a way of just setting you on edge and making it very disjointed. I can only imagine that the characters, working in a ward where it's nothing but people in basically vegetative states who don't move, for the most part, they have their own unusual tics and things like that. But, to work in that isolation and how it may prey on you. Again, like I said, everyone gave a powerful performance. So, again, thank you to Camille out at Phase 4 Films. As it stands right now, just as a film, it's to me, as a remake on top of it of a film that is considered a cult classic, I give the film an 8 out of 10. There are no special features to rate, so it's not applicable in this situation. But if you get a chance and it's in your area, go check this film out. I think this is going to leave a pretty big impression on what's coming out of Australia. There's been a couple of good films to come out from there, but this Patrick remake is really something else. So make sure to check it out. Head over to Phase 4 Films. You can find them on Facebook. They have an official website as well. Go and check out the news there and see what's going on. Find out where it's playing in your area. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to have our interview with the folks over at Concept Media. So before we get to that, we're going to do our first Metal Blade Spotlight. The first band tonight is Satan's Wrath. Off of the CD, Aeons of Satan's Reign. The name of the song is Satan's Blood, Lucifer's Fire. Welcome back to the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. That was Satan's Wrath off of Aeons of Satan's Reign. Name of the track was Satan's Blood, Lucifer's Fire. If you would like to hear more of Satan's Wrath, head on over to metalblade.com and check them out. You can purchase CDs, listen to tracks, and get merchandise, find out touring information and everything you need about that. Thanks to Kelly out at Metal Blade for hooking that all up for us. Coming up in a couple of moments, we're going to have the good peeps on from Concept Media. Shawn Burkett, Ayse Howard, Deziree Angel, and Scott Gillespie will be calling in throughout the hour to talk about Concept Media and the new film Don't Fuck in the Woods, which they're getting ready to start shooting coming up here soon. And we're going to talk about some of the other films that they've worked on and some of the other projects that they have done in the past. So really looking forward to that. Don't forget that coming up later, we're also going to be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Visiting Hours, which is the second film included on the Bad Dreams Visiting Hours double feature released by Scream Factory. Two great films with a lot of great special features on both of them. I was very pleasantly surprised to see the interviews that were included on Visiting Hours. So we will be getting to that a little bit later on tonight. We also reviewed Phase 4 Films' Patrick Evil Awakens, so I highly recommend you go and check that out as well. Just wanted to let everyone know a couple of magazines. Stiff Magazine, unfortunately, will be changing over to a different style and format, but the two latest issues, issues 17 and 18, are available for purchase. If you head on over to their site or check them out on Facebook, you can get copies of the magazine through there. The Dead Man's in both of those. I interview actor Jim O'Rear in one of them and the lovely and talented Leslie Easterbrook in the other. Living Dead Magazine issue 2 is now available for order as well. Make sure to go over on Facebook and check them out and go to their website as well. The Dead Man's in that one as well. So glad to let these indie bags know, indie magazines let the fans know that they're out there. They're, not just because I'm in there, but I'm telling you, there's some very talented writers in all of these magazines, and you should definitely check it out. It's nice to read differentiating views, read different opinions, and it's intelligent. It's not this nag little kid stuff. It's nice to see people are out there doing it, and you should definitely give them your support. So definitely go out and check out both Living Dead Magazine and Stiff Magazine to get all of your indie horror treats. Both feature great photo shoots as well. I wanted to mention that. Lots of talented models and photographers involved with that as well. So, like I said, in a couple of moments, we are going to have Shawn Burkett and crew on. Shawn's going to come on and tell us a little bit about the upcoming film, Don't Fuck in the Woods, a little bit about some of Concept Media Films' other projects. For example, Midsummer Nightmares and the sequel, which is getting ready to start shooting here shortly. We had the lovely ladies on a couple of weeks ago for that. The Sleeping Soul, Panty Raid, Revenge, Bludgeon, The Way of the Buffalo, Watch This, and, Stag. I really want to know about Stag, and I got to know about Elphys. There's just something about that looks highly entertaining to me. I always feel like we need more crazy films around the holidays, and it looks like these guys are pretty much into it. And, congratulations again, everyone at Concept Media. They were nominated in 4 different categories in the 2014 Horse Society Awards. Best Short Film, Ladies' Night. Favorite Scream Queen, Christy Faulkner. Favorite Scream King, Scott Gillespie. And Most Anticipated Film of 2014, Midsummer Nightmare 2. So, they definitely have a lot going on. I can tell you from having seen Midsummer Nightmare and ladies' night that there's plenty to check out when it comes to them, you know. And of course, Miss Christy Faulkner did win Favorite Scream Queen this year from Horror Society, and you know, budding actress. But I definitely feel like she is someone that we need to be watching. You know, there's definite talent there, and you know, she works hard at what she does. She doesn't allow her cystic fibrosis to impede her in any way. So it's very nice to see the people at Concept Media doing well and getting stuff out to the fans. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into our second Metal Blade Spotlight for the evening. We're going to give the people from Concept Media a few moments to call in. The next song is from Pilgrim. The album is 2, Void Worship. The name of the song is Arcane Sanctum. welcome back to Horse Society Radio. This is the dead man that was Pilgrim off of the album 2, Void Worship. The name of the song was Arcane Sanctum. Make sure to head over to metalblade.com to find out all the latest on them and what they're doing if you want to get that merchandise or the CD. We're going to begin our interview now with some of the good old people from Concept Media. On the line, I do believe I have Mr. Shawn Burkett. Shawn, is that you?
Yes, it is.
It's good to have you back on, man. How you been?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has. You guys were on like the third or fourth week show. For those that don't remember, Shawn Burkett, of course, is the co-owner and president of Concept Media, based out. Are you guys still in Dayton, or are you guys in Cincinnati now?
We're in Dayton.
Okay, you're still in Dayton. Okay, cool. Yeah, I had your cohort on a week or so ago, and I was asking questions about films that he didn't have answers to, and you graciously got in touch with me and said, let's do another show.
Yeah.
So I think we should, but I wanted to congratulate you guys on the awards you won from the Horse Society Awards. I think they were, of course, well-placed. I think you guys did a great job. You know, I highly enjoyed Midsummer Nightmare and Ladies' Night. And, you know, I've had Christy on the show twice. You know, what do you think about all the success that Concept Media is having right now?
It's kind of surreal. I mean, considering me and Ryan just started this all off because Joe Bob Briggs was looking for scripts.
I mean what, you know, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, that's what started all this off, and it got to the point where, you know, me and Ryan were just thinking, it's like, well, hell, why don't we just make the movie? And then we just went from there, and, well, we haven't stopped yet.
No, I mean, you certainly haven't. You know, we can talk about certain titles here for a moment. You know, I had mentioned Midsummer Nightmare I thought was fantastic. I greatly enjoyed Ladies' Night. You know, and you have this new film coming up, and when everyone else calls in, of course, I'll be asking them about it as well. But the one that seems to be drawing a lot of attention these days is Don't Fuck in the Woods. You know, kind of tell everyone, you know, where the concept came up from, and to be honest, why you went with such a blunt title.
I would love to. This will kind of set the record straight. You know, I was preparing for my next film because me and Ryan, we kind of switched back and forth. And I wanted to do something set in the woods. I wanted to do an outdoors movie because most of our films are, you know, in certain locations. There's not a lot of outdoor shots. So I wanted to do something in the woods.
Sure.
After researching, you know, hundreds of movies about people in the woods or whatever, I mean, it mainly came down to, like, the 80s genre of horror with, you know, Friday the 13th, some of the sleepaway camps, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I couldn't remember the last time that I watched a creature feature that was set in the woods that, I mean, wasn't your typical creature, not like a werewolf or, you know, what have you. So I just kind of decided, you know, I've always wanted to make a creature feature, and I figured, why not? I mean, the woods are a perfect setting. But as far as the title, after, I mean, doing my research, I just wanted a title that basically you can read the title and you know what's going to happen in the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you have sex in the woods, you're going to die.
It's pretty much a staple.
Yeah. So, I mean, because, you know, I'm not targeting any filmmakers by any means, but there are films out there to where the title is a little misleading. I mean, I'm even guilty of that.
Right.
And I just wanted something that, this is straightforward, you know. It can't get any easier to understand. But no, it is not a porno.
Yeah, I noticed that when I put the thing up on Facebook to promote the radio show tonight, a lot of people. One of our guests that'll be on later is actress Deziree Angel, and she's a suicide girl and all of that. And one of the comments on one of her friends said to her, oh my God, what is this? What kind of film is this? And Deziree straightened it out. But there's a lot of buzz. I know one of our fellow writers on Horror Society, old Blacktooth, has covered you guys a couple times and mentioned the film. How much public support have you gotten now? I mean, what have you noticed from your previous films, to now? How are you using all of that previous experience with media to help get word out?
That's a very good question. I wish I knew how to fully answer that. Basically, we're still just promoting heavily via Facebook on the Indiegogo. We're trying to update perks. Like, once we hit a certain amount, like, we'll throw a bonus perk in with, like, one of the listed perks. We've started actually advertising, which is something Concept Media hasn't done before because, well, we could never really afford it. So
right, but I mean, what do you feel like has been the most effective part of you branching out into that, though? How much more? For the indie filmmaker that's listening, that's just starting out, how would you rate that? How is it working for you now? For those that are curious.
Oh, as far as advertising's key. That's just we can check our Google Analytics and see, how many people have visited the page, where they visited the page from, and it's just, after advertising, you might as well triple what our average visitor was.
So, that certainly helps, get the word out, get people excited and everything. From there, what other advancements are you looking at? Like this, I know this is the second time that all of you guys have been on my show. So you're certainly doing the podcast again. Have you looked at what other mediums are you looking at to help promote? Are you looking at magazines? Are you looking, what else is there?
Yeah, we've looked at. I've got advertising rates for several magazines, but a lot of companies now are doing like Twitter posts and that kind of stuff. Luckily, we haven't really paid for anything like that. We've just made contacts with certain magazines. Patrick Dolan from Rue Morgue, he's got his own thing called Blood on a Budget. His article is awesome to begin with, but he's been promoting Don't Fuck in the Woods as well as Bludgeon.
Right. Well, it's, like I said, advertising, and marketing is always key, so it's nice to see you guys going that route and helping to expand everything that you're doing. Now, two of the films that I had asked Ryan about that he couldn't answer any questions on was, what can you tell me about Stag, and what can you tell me about Elphys?
Elphys, we'll start out with Elphys. Me and Scott Gillespie were actually, we were roommates, and we were just sitting in our living room one night, and we had a couple beers, and we just, for some reason, we got on the topic of the Elf on the Shelf. Granted, this was like 2 days before Christmas.
Sure.
And we threw a couple ideas back and forth, and it was like, what if the Elf on the Shelf was like possessed or evil, and really did report back to Santa, and it was like, but if the person was naughty, the elf just crossed them off the proverbial list. So that's actually on the Concept Media website for free to download.
Oh, my goodness. I might have to go watch that one. It looks like our second guest for the evening will be joining us. It looks like, let me make sure that I'm correct. It looks like Ayse Howard is joining us. Let me make sure I'm right on that. Ayse, is that you?
Yes, it is. Hello there.
Hi. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, you are. I was actually waiting for you to butcher it, but you didn't.
Well, good. I feel so much better. So for those that are joining us, Ayse Howard is joining us, one of the lovely young ladies that partake in the crazy films that Shawn helps to make out there in Ohio. Ayse, kind of tell everyone how you became involved with Shawn and Concept Media and a little bit about the previous roles that you've played.
Well, Shawn and I, we've actually been friends since I first moved out to Brookville, Ohio when I was about 17 years old. So that's kind of how it started. And then he got really into photography and started using me as a model to test shoots and everything. And then after a couple of years of that, he came to me with the idea of the movies. And he actually called me up one night, and he's like, I'm writing a script, The Sleeping Soul, which was my debut film. And he's like, I would like you to try out for it. And that's how it all kind of began.
Very nice. Now, when you thought about working in film, was horror what you had ever thought about doing, or was it always a passion for you?
Actually, no. I really never thought about it, but if I had thought about it, it would have definitely been the horror genre for sure.
Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna ask you, what did I was going to ask you, what can you tell us about Don't Fuck in the Woods? Because that's, like I was talking with Shawn, it's definitely a film. The title draws attention. The publicity shots that we've seen so far. Tell us what you think about what you think about the film and your upcoming role in it.
I am actually ecstatic to start filming this movie this summer. I will be playing the character of Alex in it, who's kind of your girl next door horror nerd. So it's a character that definitely hits home. So it'll be exciting to play something that's more like myself.
Now, Shawn, when you initially created the role, was Ayse, who you thought of the whole time?
Actually, yeah. Like when I was, and that's a bad habit of mine. When I write, I picture certain people as those roles. It's just luckily, Ayse was a trooper, and I knew she would happily take this role. But yeah, when I was writing it, it's like I know what Ayse can do as far as acting and her physical capabilities. So to me, it just made sense.
Now, when you initially, you had originally used her as a model, as she had mentioned, before, bringing her into this movie, what was it you saw in her that brought that initial step into bringing you? Because, as a filmmaker or working in films, it's cool to hang out with your friends, but sometimes having your friends on set's more of a distraction than it is, a help. So what was it that you saw in her that made you say, we should bring her in on this project for the first time?
This is actually
Ayse,
a really good story.
You cool with this?
I'm fine with it. Go ahead.
Okay. Me and Ayse were married.
Okay.
So, honestly, like before we split up, she lied to me, and honestly, she should have won an award for that because I'm not one that just falls for it, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And that's actually the initial reason why I was like, wow, I think Ayse would be perfect for this because, it was a very convincing lie. So that's basically why I initially sought after Ayse.
Uh-huh.
Because in a way, and this could just be my messed up skew on things, but acting is a lot like lying. I mean, you have to convince somebody that you're somebody else.
Sure.
So
I certainly don't disagree with that.
So I kind of went that route.
Now, in all sincerity with that, though, and I'm not prying or going to ask anything about that, but I mean, as an actress, Ayse, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, as an honest opinion, does that make you feel good about your acting talent and what you can bring to the screen?
I remember this day very vividly that he's mentioning, so I guess it would be a compliment. I mean, that was the day I learned that I could fake cry, which I never knew. So when we were filming The Sleeping Soul, there was a couple of scenes where Shawn's like, "You need to cry," and I'm like, "I don't think I can do this." And he reminded me of that. He's like, "Yes, you can. You can definitely fake cry."
See, that's a sign of a director getting great work out of his talent. That's exactly what that is. Well, I mean, you guys have worked on three previous projects. I believe all three together, which was Watch This, of course, Bludgeon, and The Sleeping Soul. Now, I'm not familiar with The Sleeping Soul at all. What can you guys tell me about that one?
Ayse, I'll let you take that one.
You always do. The Sleeping Soul basically follows the story of this woman who loses her fiancé and her unborn child in a drunk driving accident, actually. And the story basically, I think it caught up to about a year after everything happened, and she finally starts to get her life back on track to where she wants it, but things still aren't quite where they need to be, and she just starts to basically go insane. And that's really all I can say without giving too much away.
Certainly. So, I mean, that one sounds like it was definitely much more of an emotional acting piece for you, yes?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, now that you say that, I'm starting to think that I think that was one I did see.
Well, if you haven't,
if not, I can send you a link.
Yeah, I want to make sure because that might have been one that I reviewed, and if it's the one that I'm thinking it is, I definitely enjoyed that. So, I mean, as you've worked with Shawn and as you two have worked together, Ayse, Shawn and I had touched on the social media and everything that goes on with that. As the talent, as the actress who works with them, what do you think about the steps and how much more coverage and everything that goes on with concept media? Are you? I don't want to say the word surprised, but are you surprised at how quickly Shawn and crew have picked it up and how far they've elevated it?
Actually, yes. I'm very shocked. I mean, when I first got involved, the only thing that was out, and I don't remember if it was even out on DVD yet, but it was the first Midsummer Nightmares. And, I mean, I've seen Shawn have passion before in his projects, but I've also seen him let them go very fast as well. So this, to me, was something, no offense, Shawn, but I was like, oh, they're going to get super into this, but then they're just going to give up on it. And with the way that it's progressed to today from when I first became involved, I mean, it definitely blows my mind when I think about it.
And Shawn, I mean, how does that make you feel for your talent? I mean, it's always good when your talent can sit there and say, wow, these guys really stepped it up. They went to that extra level. How does that make you feel as an owner and a producer and a filmmaker?
Honestly, I mean, that makes me feel great. I mean, Ayse's one of my oldest friends, and she definitely, she knows me better than most people. But, once we started filmmaking, it was almost like I finally felt like what I was supposed to do. Because, I mean, I've got a degree in photography. I've been a tattoo artist. I've worked about every job there possibly could be to work in the area that I live in. So it's almost like I feel home now.
Well, I mean, and it's great that you can feel that way with your work. I mean, to me, that's that's part of the importance in what we all do in the industry, no matter how far we go in it. Of course, Midsummer Nightmare is getting ready to shoot. What would you guys say that you're bringing to this project that is just going to top everything you've done previously?
Oh, I mean, as far as Don't Fuck in the Woods goes, I mean, just the camera, we're upgrading completely. We're going with a Blackmagic Cinema camera. We're running Canon Cinema Prime lenses. I mean, the overall production value it steps up with every film that we've done, which is a great thing because, this is a very competitive, career. I guess I can go with career.
No, I mean, that's definitely a good way to put it.
It's like some of my best friends are filmmakers, and I mean, if I had more time, if I didn't have to work, I'm sure I could pump out more than like 1 or 2 films a year.
Right.
Which, hopefully, one day that'll be the life. But I completely forgot the question, and or where I was going with that.
It's all right. No, I was just saying, where are you guys looking to go from here? With all of the great work that you guys have put in previously, this is the next film. Technical aspect aside, you know your talent, you know what they bring to the table, you know what your core fan base is. How much more over the top is this one going to be? Are you looking to hit the film circuit? Are you looking to just do conventions? Are you looking to just do straight release from you? Where do you really want to go with this movie?
Honestly, like Concept Media, thus far we've been, we make a movie, we hit the conventions, we hit the film festivals, and that's how we've done business thus far. But, at this point, I mean, the film is very deep in the pre-production, but I've already gotten offers for distribution, which, we've never dealt with distribution. I've talked to several filmmaking friends about distribution. Honestly, that kind of scares the hell out of me. Because it's like, I spend so much time and effort to create this final product, and then it's almost like we just give it away for some money, and then that's it.
Right. I understand that.
It almost feels like, selling your child to an extent. Like, I don't know why that doesn't set well. Well, I know why that doesn't set well with me, but it's something that I'm thinking about, but it all depends on what is actually offered. Because the offers thus far are, they're just going off the title because the title has made a tiny little splash.
Now, Ayse, how do you feel about that? I mean, it's, have you ever gone out on the convention circuit? Do you guys ever go to any film festivals along, with the product that you send out? I mean, would it excite you to go out and do that kind of stuff?
I've actually attended, I can't remember if it was 2 or it was 3 conventions with them, and I absolutely love it. It's such an awesome way to, get the word out about your film, but also, like, we, last year we attended Fright Night? Maybe, I don't remember.
We've attended Fright Night. That was Fright Night 2012, because The Sleeping Soul was in the official selection.
All right. Like, when we attended Fright Night in 2012, The Sleeping Soul was shown at it, and I was lucky enough to come to the convention as well. And it was just so great, like, having people come up to you and be like, wow, I really enjoyed that, or, you did so awesome, or the movie was amazing, and you just all these compliments when you know that you worked really hard on it, and then to have people enjoy it, it's an awesome feeling. The conventions are honestly one of my more favorite parts.
I believe we're being joined by Scott Gillespie now. Scott, are you there?
Hey.
Scotty,
what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Actor in I think just about everything that Shawn has put out, if I'm looking at it correctly. Theater of the Deranged 2 was you as well, was it not, Shawn, or did you not do that one?
I done a segment on there called Panty Raid.
Okay. There's the sub listing for it right there. So yes, Shawn, you have been in everything that Scott, you've been in everything that Shawn has done. But to tail it in with what I just asked, Ayse, have you gone to any of the conventions, and what do you think about the reactions to the films that Concept Media have been putting out?
I have not gotten to go to a single convention yet due to whether it be a work schedule or just something coming up. So I have not gotten to go to any of those yet. As a matter of fact, this coming weekend will be my first one.
Excellent. Which one is that going to be?
That's Horror Hound down in Sharonville.
Very nice, very nice. I mean, what are you looking forward to in anticipation of the festival? I mean, as a fan, we always look at them one way, and then, you work on a film and you kind of see how everything changes a little bit. But, what are you looking forward to the most? Do you get asked for your autograph? Are you going to be doing a panel? What kind of stuff are you looking forward to?
I'm actually just anxious to meet people. Like, I hear about what goes on at these conventions, and I know what they entail. When I hear from Shawn, especially these people are coming and so-and-so's going to be there, I'm like, man, I cannot wait to go on these and actually get to meet some of those people and just see what they're all about, see how people are promoting their stuff, and be able to help Concept promote our stuff as well. So I'm pumped for it.
Now, tell us a little bit how you came to know Shawn and get involved with Midsummer Nightmares.
Long story short, I had actually met Shawn through a couple of friends of mine in Shawn's hometown of Brookville, Ohio. And I met the guy, and then I didn't see him for a couple of years after that. And back in 2012, late 2011, early 2012, I was attending college up at Wright State University out of Dayton, Ohio, and Shawn and his business partner Ryan Stacy were getting started on Midsummer 1, and they were doing it at a buddy of mine's house. Well, I just happened to be going down there one night to hang out with him, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool, but Shawn and them were actually down here doing a movie." So I was like, "Oh, cool, man. Well, I'll be able to check out." He's like, "Yeah, we got to keep it down and stuff while they do their thing." I'm like, "All right, cool." And and I ended up running into Shawn. I'm like, "Hey, man, I've met you before, blah, blah, blah. How you doing?" And like I said, long story short, he was just, they were starting to get rolling, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you mind giving us a hand with this, hold this boom mic so I can get this shot?" And just kind of helped him with that, and next thing you know, some people ended up backing out of the project, and they were in a little bit of a hard spot. And I remember Ryan being like, "What are we going to do, man? What are we going to do?" And I'm just sitting there, and I look over, and out of the corner of my eye, I just see Shawn point at me like, And I was like, "Man, I'll give it a shot." And it was for a character that actually ended up getting changed fairly quickly into one of the more prominent roles, I guess you would call it. And I've been there ever since. Been helping Shawn ever since.
Very nice. Now, Shawn, what was it about working with Scott that you've brought him back for everything ever since?
Honestly, this is going to sound horrible, but most of the times he was just in the right place at the wrong time, or no. I mean, honestly, Scott is he is a very reliable person, and anytime I'm casting for anything, that's one of the top three things I look for. But it's not only that, it's I know his acting abilities, I know what he can do, and I'm really not sure of what he can't do. So it's kind of like I'll throw him into something sometimes just to see if he can handle it or not, and he always does.
I mean, that's a great skill set to have as an actor. Now, Ayse, how is it, are you looking forward to working with Scott? And, what's your favorite previous on-set experience with him?
I've actually had yet to really work with him. It's basically just I helped on the set with Midsummer Night Nurse 2, and then when we filmed Elvis, Scotty was there helping around with that set. So I'm actually looking forward to being able to actually act with him in this one.
Yeah.
Now, Scott, what what exactly is going to be your involvement with Don't Fuck in the Woods, and what drew you to the project?
I've been waiting for this question. Okay. No, I'm really excited about this because in the more recent past, me and Shawn have just been sitting around and not even really being serious about talking about a future film or anything, but we would always land on the area of this creature idea or creature-based film, but it never really solidified into anything. And then he started getting ideas for DPFW and started talking to me about it, and he's like, so do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah. Absolutely. Because as of right now, it looks like I will be playing a certain creature in this film. So I'm actually really pumped to see what this one's going to do, because that's going to be a very fun thing for me to be involved in, I think.
Now, as an effects artist, I have to ask you, are you prepared to sit in a chair for several hours before shooting?
The first thing I asked was, dude, is this in the summer? He's like, yeah, more likely. But yeah, I have no problem with that at all. I'm actually really anxious for it.
Now, Ayse, now what do you think about all the blood and gore? I mean, certainly from what I've seen in you in their films, you're not afraid to get blood on you, but what is it? You have some actresses who are prissy about it, and I don't get the blood everywhere, and you have actresses that are, just throw it. What are your thoughts on that, and what are your thoughts on the violence in Shawn's films?
With the blood, I wouldn't say that. Basically, I'm more of the fun, complicated person to work with. I don't care really where they put the blood or anything like that, but I will give them a hard time. I'll be like, ew, you got it in my hair. Or I think one of the things when we filmed Elvis was they got it in my eye, and that, it sucks. But, it comes with the area. As for the violence part, that's one of the things that I'm really stoked about is Shawn told me that Don't Fuck in the Woods is going to be a bit more pushing with, the physical aspect of things. He's telling me you have to get into better shape because you're going to be fighting and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to the more violent part of it. It'll be something new that I haven't done before, and I'm always excited to try something new.
Now, Shawn, it's kind of interesting. Creature features these days seem to be very hit or miss. A lot of times you wind up with creature features on the Sci-Fi Channel or Chiller, and, half of it's CGI. What made you decide to go with a creature feature this time, and are you looking to keep the film more into the practical effects end?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to be more practical, and that's one of those things is, I edit all the films as well, and it's it's not very rare that I outsource to have somebody else help me, but Dustin Mills has been just phenomenal, and I consider him a very good friend of mine, and he's helped us out with some little, technical CGI stuff because, honestly, he's great at it. He's also great at the practical effects, which he will actually be building the entire creature.
Nice.
So I'm very excited for that. I can't wait to to see the final product. We've sent emails back and forth with drawings and concept art, and then we finally like narrowed it down to what it was going to be. And honestly, he deserves just as much credit for coming up with this creature as I do.
And I think we're joined by our final guest this evening. Is this Deziree Angel?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, welcome to the show. We finally have the full complement of the cast and crew. First thing off, I wanted to ask you, how did you become involved with Shawn and Concept Media, and what was it that drew your attention to Don't Fuck in the Woods?
I actually saw that he was casting on Horror Society's Twitter page, so I emailed him, and he got back to me not that soon after, like a week after. And I don't know, I've always been obsessed with horror, and the title of the film was just intriguing, so.
Now, it says on your Facebook page that you're also a model for the Suicide Girls, and I know that's very popular. A lot of people love the site. I've been known to go there myself. Kind of talk about, what was your attraction? What was your attraction to get into that kind of modeling? And do you think that, that's part of what helped you get into working in a horror film?
Just to clarify, I'm not officially a Suicide Girl yet. I'm still a hopeful. So.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've always been I've always liked that kind of modeling and been comfortable with myself. So. Yeah.
Now, Shawn, what was it that drew you to her, and what I'm trying to think of the way I want to phrase it. What was it about her modeling and her unique appearance that fit into the film?
Honestly, when I read what she had submitted, I saw her pictures, and I'm not gonna lie. We've had a lot of people that are heavily tattooed or have big gauges in their ears submit, and I don't want a full film with everybody that just kind of looks the same, or else it's going to look like I'm remaking a Suicide Girls movie. So,
right.
But once she submitted, I had her do a video. I told her to pick a scene from one of her favorite horror films, and I wanted her to reenact it, and she did that, and I mean that definitely helped, because a lot of times I'll ask people to do that, and it's almost like a big inconvenience.
Really?
It's like, especially, if somebody lives, Deziree lives in Nevada. I live in Ohio. It's not like we can meet up for coffee.
Right.
If so, that would be a damned expensive coffee. But yeah, I mean, her attitude, we talked via FaceTime a little bit, and, she had the attitude, she had the promise and the dedication for it.
Right.
Because honestly, I don't want to say I would prefer to not work with people who have acted before, but thus far I haven't worked with any, big-name actors or anybody that's really been in a whole lot. They've maybe been an extra in this, that, or the other. And I've come to find out that those people who have never acted before, I mean, their dedication level is just through the roof. And, I mean, they're basically willing to die for you on camera.
That's true. I mean,
to know that, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
I've
worked with people that are the same way. I mean, I remember when I worked on my first film, in the first 24 hours, I got 2 concussions and fractured the middle finger on my right hand. So, I mean, you just get into that. When you meet people that are that passionate and that into what you're doing, certainly it brings something to the set that you can't quite put it into words, but it does so much for everybody. Now, I wanted to ask you, I was reading the Indiegogo, and you guys are going to actually be staying on location. Tell us a little bit about the location, Shawn, and then from what I'm reading, you guys are going to be basically camping out. So, what are you guys expecting out of that? Knowing Shawn being a big fan of Friday the 13th and Sleepaway Camp, I'm sure the pranks will be in full fly, but...
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
Shawn, tell us a little bit about the location.
The location is actually the people that own the house that was shot in Midsummer Nightmares 2, where a majority of the film takes place. They're actually my landlord, and they have acres of land. And when we went out there to scout the place for Midsummer Nightmares 2, they took us on a tour. We got in their SUV, and they literally, drove us through the woods. And I shit you not, it was like entering Jurassic Park. The mosquitoes were the size of softballs. The grass came up to, midway of the window in a Suburban. It was just, I was waiting for a velociraptor to pop out at me. But just, they took us around, and honestly, they kind of showed us a little more of the outside more than the inside. And when they did that, I was just right then and there, I was like, this will be perfect for my next film. And they're my landlords, so I talk to them often. And we're just gonna camp out and make a movie.
Now, when all of you guys heard about the location, what were your thoughts? You hear great stories, like when I had Felisa Rose on, she talked about what a great atmosphere it was when she did Sleepaway Camp, and, the whole crew stayed at the camp and camped out, and it was basically, summer vacation at the same time. What are your guys' thoughts on the prehistoric mosquitoes and the giant grass?
It'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Lots of bug spray flying around.
Bug spray, definitely. Now, speaking about that, camaraderie, Ayse, you and Scott have, of course, worked with Shawn before. Deziree, this is the first time that you're working with them.
Yeah.
What are you guys looking for in terms of an experience? Of course, you always learn something when you work on a film, but, what are you guys looking to take away from your experience in this film?
Ayse, go ahead.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Ayse.
I guess for me it'll be, like I said, this will be kind of a newer role for me, so I'm really looking forward to pushing my limitations and see what I'm able to achieve with this type of role, basically taking away, what I really, really can do, seeing what I can do that I didn't know I could do.
Right. How about you, Scott?
I'm actually really curious to see how much. I've talked to Shawn before about things like, man, I really want to do this role where I get really extreme, or it's a very, very intense character, yada yada. I'm actually anxious to see if I can become and feel this thing, this creature. You know what I mean? That's you're not playing a human character, so it's something I've never done before, and I'm anxious to see if I can go to that place and see how well I can do it.
Now, just as an addition to that, I wanted to ask you that, you're going to, be behind this makeup, and you're playing a creature, and I know you can't give away too much about what it is or anything, but, for a moment, can you kind of talk about, what do you do to prepare for something like that? How do you put yourself in that spot?
I lock myself in a room with about 30 boxes of Twinkies, and then seriously, I've been trying to think about that, and I think honestly what's probably going to happen is either a couple days before or while we're starting this project and doing makeup and all that, I think really I'm just going to sit in complete silence and try to interact with people as little, only as much as I have to, and just blank out and just try and go to a very primal place, I guess you would say, and just try and get the spot and see if it works.
Now, for you, Deziree, because I couldn't find an IMDb page or anything for you, I'm assuming is this your first film project?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, you had said being a fan of the genre and everything. What are you looking to take out of your first film experience? And like I said, by looking at their catalog, you can tell that Shawn and Ayse and Scott, they have a passion for the industry, especially for the genre. So, what are you looking to show the fans and everybody in your first film?
I'm really excited for the gore. Like, I love gore, so I'm super excited for that. I think I'm just looking forward to showing that I have potential, and I'm not used to, like, going out of my comfort zone and meeting new people. So I'm looking forward to doing that and just being involved in it in general. I'm really excited.
Nice. Now, Shawn, since I asked Scott about it, I have to ask you too. And it makes sense. Your comments before, you don't know what he can do, and sometimes you just throw things at him. Is this role a prime example of that? What are you hoping he brings to this? Because ultimately, as the man doing it, you know what you're looking for from the character.
That's a good question. When it came to it, it was, I just kind of look at people, I get a sense for them, and if I thought it was like a completely asinine offer, I wouldn't have offered it to him.
Sure.
But the fact that I offered it to him and instantly he was like, well, fuck yeah. That just, it was like, I feel I made a great choice. And granted, Scotty's going to have to learn how to run in this suit. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, let me ask you this: without giving it too much away, I'm not asking for specific details, but are we looking at more of like a reptilian? Are we looking at mammalian? Two-legged, four-legged? Is there anything you can kind of give us to get our imaginations running on this?
It's a bipedal or pedal, bipedal reptilian species.
Reptilian.
We have several different combinations. I basically took, me and Dustin Mills sat and talked back and forth, and I drew up some things, and we've kind of taken aspects from the things that you can find in the woods here in Ohio. As far as, there's box turtles, there's all kinds of turtles. There's lizards, so we kind of just put them all in a pot of primordial ooze, and out came this.
Very nice. Now, we have about 10 minutes left, and what I want to do is for everyone that's here, if you guys have any more projects coming up, tell us what your projects are. If you're on social media, if you have Facebook, if you have a website, so that if people want to get in contact with you, follow you, things like that, we can go from there. And we'll start with the ladies. Deziree, why don't you start us off?
I don't have any projects coming up, but I have Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and I have the same URL for all of them. It's that plot Deziree. It's my name's Deziree, so yeah.
Okay.
That's about it.
Ayse?
Goodness. What should I mention, Shawn?
Well, as far as projects?
Yeah.
Oh, go for it. You do whatever you want.
We haven't exactly started writing, but we're toying around with ideas, obviously, for Watch This Part 2 right now. Mm-hmm. We're also, Shawn and I have been throwing back and forth ideas about kind of a campfire-type horror movie. So there's that. other than that, there's not too much else that we're working on that I would be involved in. But as for social media, I have Facebook and Instagram. That's pretty much it.
Scott?
But I guess sorry.
Yeah, Ayse, it's my turn. No, I'm just kidding.
You're not that spot.
As Ayse said, a little bit of a campfire-esque type movie that I'll probably be involved with those guys as well here before too long. Can't divulge too much on that one.
Sure.
But as far as social media or anything, basically the only thing I've got going on is a Facebook. So they can pretty much contact me on there. Scott Gillespie, and that's all it says, just Scott Gillespie on Facebook.
Okay. Shawn?
Let's see. Don't Fuck in the Woods has a Twitter page at Don't Fuck in the Woods. Or, no, my bad. That's not right at all. At DFITW Movie. And then we also have a Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/DFITW. I have a Twitter. Imagine that. And it is at SM Burkett. I have a Facebook and an Instagram, and I hope everybody starts to stalk me. As far as upcoming projects, yes, we have Stag. We have the Campfire Tales that Ayse was talking about, as well as Watch This Part 2. And then, that's about all that I can talk about.
Well, actually, since you brought it back up, and I remember I'd asked you at the start of the show, and then Ayse came on. What can you tell us about Stag?
Stag is, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of like, take I Know What You Did Last Summer, put it in the woods, but it's all hunting buddies. And that's kind of what Stag is, as far as what I'm willing to reveal.
Well, I mean, you guys certainly had a lot of success working together, and of course, Deziree's coming in now. You know, Don't Fuck in the Woods, with all of the attention that it's starting to draw, not only from its name, but the work that you guys are putting into promoting and everything. You know, do you eventually see a full theatrical release coming from you guys?
Yeah. Sorry. Deziree, you're sitting in the airport, aren't you?
Huh?
Are you sitting at the airport?
No, I'm on my way though.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I hear a lot of interference.
Yeah, there's some back static there somewhere.
We're hoping. We're hoping for Don't Fuck in the Woods to be released this October. And I know a lot of people think that that's kind of pushing it, but with the way I shoot and the way I edit, that's not even going to be an issue. Excellent.
Well, you know, thank you guys for coming on. You know, you're always welcome to come on and talk about your project. If you ever have any news, please send it along to me, and I'll get it up. Is there anything you guys want to say to your fans before we go?
Oh, yeah. I want to say have a shout-out to Mac Brewer, Dave Parker, and Jason Grandpa Limberg at Monstrosity Magazine, Ryan, Stacy, Christy Faulkner, the whole Midsummer Nightmares crew, and anybody who's ever worked with Concept Media. You all are fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
Anyone else want to shout out to anybody?
I guess just a thank you to everyone that supported us.
Yeah, I probably should have went with that one, too.
And I just say thank you for the support from everybody that we've gotten.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being on. I look forward to having you guys on again soon. And everyone be safe. I'm looking forward to the film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Once again, that was the crew from Concept Media. We had co-producer and co-owner Shawn Burkett. We had Ayse Howard. We had Deziree Angel. And we had Scott Gillespie. So, looking forward to their new film, Don't Fuck in the Woods. Of course, they have a great catalog of films that you can already check out. So head on over to Concept Media Films, both their webpage and their Facebook page for more information. Coming up, we are going to have our Scream Factory Blu-ray DVD review of Visiting Hours. But before that, we're going to go into our next Metal Blade Spotlight. Coming up, the band is Rivers of Nihil. The name of the CD is The Conscious Seed of Light, and the song is Soil and Seed.
Conscious
of Niall, and the album was The Conscious Seed of Light. The song was Soil and Seed. Make sure to head over to metalblade.com and check out everything with their tours, merchandise, news, and more. We're going to go into our Scream Factory Blu-ray DVD release of Visiting Hours. And if you remember last week, I did the review of Bad Dreams. This is the second film on that double feature. And once again, pleasantly surprised. A little bit of a synopsis. Academy Award winner Lee Grant, Best Supporting Actress in 1975 for Shampoo, stars as outspoken TV journalist Deborah Balin, whose crusade against domestic violence enrages a creepy loner, played by Michael Ironside, in Visiting Hours. He brutally attacks the anchor woman in her home, but Balin survives and is hospitalized. Her assistant is enraged. He is haunted by a dark, horrific childhood trauma, and now he has hidden himself inside the hospital to finish off what he started. Can anybody, including her concerned boss, played by William Shatner, a frantic nurse, Linda Pearl, or Deborah herself, stop the psycho's killing spree before it reaches sick new extremes? And, this, a really strange film, but very well done. I usually don't like to jump right into the special features, but I kind of feel like it'll go hand in hand with describing the film. And what we have on here is there's a new interview with writer Brian Taggart, and it's a little over half an hour, and he really goes in extensively on how he knew the director and how the actors and everything came together for it. It's a really interesting piece, and talks about the different studios that he, that he's worked with and things like that. One of the other interviews that I thought was really good was with executive producer Pierre David. And in his, to me, one of the highlights is how he went to the different studios. And the last studio that he went to, which wound up being Fox, he talked about how sometimes, it's the last place you think would be the place to take it. And it was just an interesting insight on trying to get the film released. The interview with actress Lenore Zahn, who is doing political work now up in, I believe it was Nova Scotia. But she talks about her role in the film. And, the interesting aspect of it is a lot of people that remember this film talk about it being a misogynistic film. And you look back at the time period when these films came out, you're talking 82 for Visiting Hours. It wasn't, but what was it, maybe a year earlier that Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper was out, and and Fulci is definitely one of my favorite filmmakers. But you talk about a misogynistic tone towards women in a film, and I kind of agree with what was said on the special features. In particular by Taggart and Zahn, the film was actually more, I don't want to use the word empowering, but, told from more of the woman's perspective, very big on the woman's liberal front, which was the main issue, as Taggart has stated for the film, kind of hidden in a murder horror film. And, in particular, Ms. Zahn talks about the scene where she is being beaten up and where her shirt is cut off. She talks about the producers coming in and wanting her to be topless on film, and she said no. And she talked about panning the camera up to her face to show the emotion from her side as opposed to the titillation of the audience. And, it brings up an interesting point. It definitely conveys a different conveyance. So, as in terms of seeing the film as a misogynist film, I certainly do not. Some of the other great special features included on here are the radio and the TV spots, which I thought were great. You had the still gallery, of course. There was just so much, effort that was put into this. Again, it's Visiting Dreams is certainly not a film that you would have initially thought of as having this wealth of information behind it, as they did with the Bad Dreams disc. As an overall, looking at the package as a whole, it's kind of hard not to rate this over. Overall, I know I gave Bad Dreams, I think it was a 7 or an 8 last week, and I would definitely say an 8 on Visiting Hours. So overall, as a whole, for a double feature on one disc with the bountiful amounts of extra footage and behind-the-scenes detail and interviews that they gave this is definitely a must-own at $19.99 at a $19.99 price. I mean, it's definitely something on there, and it's funny. You think about that exploitation, time and error, and Visiting Hours. In terms of that, does not strike me as the typical grindhouse film. Again, going back to Fulci's Ripper, which was a much more down and dirty type of film. The women's lib thing. It's funny. You talk about equality in horror or in just in general, and like I said, it was kind of interesting to watch the film from the perspective of the female victim and her getting her revenge in the end against the killer, Michael Ironside. And to talk about that, Michael Ironside is absolutely outstanding in this film. It's very similar. I equate, after watching this, of course, having seen Michael in Scanners and having seen him in the V television series and all of those things, I likened this role to when I remember seeing Michael Rooker in Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Everyone has that capacity to have both sides to their personality, but it was still a shock to see him in that role. And gruesome in that account. The tortures and the things that happened to him and what he did to his victims. The movie is not a tremendously huge blood gore fest, as you would think. There are a few scenes that are kind of graphic. The lead character, gets slashed in the arms a couple times, and Taggart himself talks about how the first time he saw that in the shot in the theaters, how it kind of turned his stomach a little bit. But that's what the producers and everyone wanted, was basically a jump every 7 minutes. And it's interesting when you watch the film going into it and knowing that, and you kind of pace out the jumps and the things that happen. There usually is about a 7-minute interval when craziness happens. So definitely worth picking up. Again, I would give the film itself about a 7.5. Right below an 8. It's certainly watchable. I think it's a title that's been forgotten from its time, but it's nice to see that Scream Factory has put this out and put it on another film that many may not, think about or remember, but with the wealth of information that's on the disc, it's definitely worth owning, if for nothing else, the interviews. As an overall, as a double feature on both discs, I give the disc an 8 for just the sheer amount of content and, the cool art on the inside cover. So thanks to Tom Chen over at Chat Factory for that. But we're going to close it down for the evening. It was certainly great. Thank you again to Camille at Phase 4 Films for sending me the VOD of Patrick, Evil Awakens. Definitely check that film out. It's supposed to be playing in limited theatrical engagements around the U.S., so hopefully if you have a chance to see it, send me a shout-out over at Horror Society and let me know how it was theatrically. Want to say thank you again to our friends at Concept Media Films. Thank you to Shawn Burkett, Ayse Howard, Deziree Angel, Scott Gillespie, coming on to talk about Don't Fuck in the Woods and several other projects they've worked on with Shawn. Thank you to our friends at Scream Factory for the Visiting Hours Blu-ray review. Thank you, Tom Chen. Keep sending them. I'll keep reviewing them. And thank you again to our friends at Metal Blade for allowing us to play such great metal music. Thank you, Kelly. Next week we're going to have an awesome show. We're going to have Mr. Paul J. Porter and Miss Haley Derryberry on to talk about Rabid Love. That's right. Finally, the DVD review and the interview next week. So thank you to everyone that listened. Thank you to all the sponsors. I'm looking forward to next week's show. We're going to end the show like we always do. We are going to go to our last Metal Blade Spotlight. The name of the band is Cattle Decapitation. The CD is Monolith of Inhumanity. The song is Your Disposal. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, rest in peace.
Journey through the outer
quite the end of the show since I made a mistake. My apologies to Cattle Decapitation and the band we just played, which was Rivers of Nihil. The CD was The Conscious Seed of Light, and the song was Soil and Seed. So I apologize. I played that twice. We had a double shot of River of Nihil, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So let's end the show correctly this time. In our Metal Blade Spotlight to end the show, one of my favorites and yours, this is Cattle Decapitation off of Monolith of Inhumanity. The song is Your Disposal. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, rest in peace.